Dear friends, today I shall teach you how to solve a quadratic equation. Please like this video only if you watched it to the end, and only if you didn't know how to solve a quadratic equation before the video and you know after watching for the video. So, probably some of you know what is a quadratic equation, probably most of you. So here it is. A times x squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. X is an unknown and a, b, c are in most applications real numbers, but the same procedure for solving will work if we take complex numbers too. In general, solutions are complex numbers. Not all quadratic equations have solutions in the set of real numbers. So, some of you probably think that this is easy, that you put coefficients a, b, c in this formula and that you know how to solve a quadratic equation. I want to say no in this video. So I claim that if you only know this formula, then you do not know how to solve a quadratic equation. You need to know how to derive this formula, and then you can say that you know how to solve a quadratic equation. So, let's repeat the procedure. Let's learn how to solve a quadratic equation. As we already said, this is the general quadratic equation, and in the first step we can factorize number a in front of the parenthesis. Actually, alternatively, we could divide our equation with number a, which actually we assume that a is different from 0. Otherwise, if a is 0, we do not have this term and we do not have a quadratic equation. So, after this dividing by 0 or factorizing a in front of the parenthesis, we are left with this expression here, which will be equal to 0. And as the next step, we shall write this second term here like 2 times x and times the rest, times b over 2a, so that 2 and 2 can cancel and that we have the same expression. And then we shall add and subtract the same term here. So this term squared, we add this term b over 2a squared, and also we subtract this same term, that we have the same equation, that we actually added 0, plus and minus the same number. And we shall now notice that these first 3 terms here, denoted with this brace here, are actually a square of binomial, according to the famous formula for square of binomial: first term squared plus double first times the second term plus the second term squared. We can write these terms denoted with brace like this square of binomial here. And in the next step this is written so, and we are left with these other 2 terms here, this one which we subtracted and added before, and plus c over a, which we had also before. So we are left now with this expression here. As we already said, a is assumed to be different from 0, so we must have this expression in parentheses equal to 0 here, because the whole equation is equal to 0. So finally we have this expression here, or if we subtract these two fractions, we obtain finally in this form. And here we are going to the key point of solving quadratic equation. We are now at the point where we can take a square root. So we should write this equation in this form to take a square root now. And after taking a square root, we will obtain only unknown x plus b over 2a on the left side of the equation, and square root of the fraction on the right hand side is square root here in numerator, and in denominator we have 2a square root of 4a squared, which we had before. And of course, when taking a square root, we shall be given two solutions with plus and minus here each time when we square. Square root is generally not unique, so in this form plus and minus will work. And so finally we obtain this expression for the solution, and written as one fraction we actually obtain a formula written before. We generally write here x1, 2, meaning that we have in general two solutions because of this plus minus here. So we obtained a formula, and if we want to say that we know how to solve quadratic equation, we should be able to reproduce all these steps in each single example when we have concrete numbers, when we have given some quadratic equations with given coefficients a, b, and c, as in this example. So we shall repeat the whole procedure on this example. First, we can divide with the number in front of x squared, and we obtain this. And then we write this second term here as minus or plus depending on the sign here. So in this example, minus 2x, always 2 times x, and multiplied with actually half of the coefficient here, half of the 5 over 2 is 5 over 4. And this 5 over 4 will be used in the next step when we add this fraction squared and also subtract this action squared. We actually added 0. This is actually 0 here. And again, we notice a square of binomial. These three terms here are actually a square of x minus 5 over 4, a square of binomial, and other terms are minus 5 over 4 squared, which is minus 25 over 16, minus 3 half here, and we can put these fractions on the other side of the equation, obtaining finally, when we add them, 49 over 16. And then we have we have this equation in this form here, and we are again at a key point of this lecture, then that we need to write equation in the form which allows us to take a square root. And when taking a square root, we obtain only x minus 5/4 on the left, and square root of this fraction on the right hand side is actually 7/4, but plus or minus 2 solutions. So first solution will be when we write this, and we obtain for solution x1 equal to 3 here, and the second solution will be when we write this with minus sign here, and we obtain the second solution x2 equals to minus 1/2. Thank you for watching the video.